All right, my session had not finished with Gautam as yet because the whole conversation was very engrossing. It was extremely motivating, and I think there was lots more that I needed to talk to him. At least everybody who was watching us was also getting equally inspired what his communication was all about. So I'm back again, and I'm waiting for Gautam to join me again because my session is continuing. And Gautam, if you're there, please send in a request so that we can continue with our conversation from where we left. Gautam should be coming in now. I hope he comes in because I'll try and connect to him because I'm trying to connect to him and I've not been able to get through. Friends are joining in, and I'm sure it'll be nice that I can have you come in as soon as possible. Sonia, please send a message to Gautam if you can. Oh, good.
Okay, welcome back.
Sorry, I thought it was over.
No, even I thought it was over, but the conversation was interesting. But anyway, I'm glad we took a 2 minute or 3 minute break because I was suffering from serious nicotine deficiency, and I thought I'll take a little break myself and have a little chat with you because I'm just loving this conversation with you. Absolutely fantastic. So,
Yeah,
Gautam, while we were talking, we were discussing a whole lot of things and issues. Food was also one thing. Now with
yeah.
so much instruction, so much देखो अर्जुन क्या कह रहा है पब्लिक के डिमांड
Hmm.
पे Arjun, that's right, public के डिमांड से ही है ये. Priscilla has also joined us, so I think everybody is joining us again because they've
Hmm.
loved your conversation, and at least for me I've got so engrossed with your conversation. Now we were talking to you and I were having a little chat. You may be having a lot of food preferences. You're a hardcore foodie, I know that. You
Yeah.
love your food, irrespective of the circumstances. My last desire in life, what is my dream desire, right?
What?
I would I would love to die with a pork chop in my mouth. If I had to go with nicely
Yeah.
glazed with juicy succulent fat all around it. Oh, that
Yeah.
would be wonderful. That couldn't be better than this. Anyway,
Yeah.
to cut matters short, tell me, you must be having a lot of diet restrictions now.
Well, if my potassium is under control, then
Mm-hmm,
not too many. You know,
mm-hmm,
you just got to be sensible about it. The approach to food in this country is much more holistic
mm-hmm,
than it is in India. ये मत खाओ, ये मत खाओ, ये मत खाओ, ये मत खाओ. You know, but here the approach is so. Here, literally, there are only 4 things I am not allowed to consume.
mm-hmm,
You know, which are there is something called pomelo,
mm-hmm.
then a grapefruit, then anar, and Seville oranges, specifically Seville oranges, because they have a certain thing that interferes with these things have a certain compound that interferes with your immunosuppressants.
So basically, it's that you should stay away from citrus fruits as much as possible to a large
Not,
extent
no,
as
every other
compared.
citrus, I mean, oranges are fine,
Yes. Okay,
but
oranges are.
but the Seville oranges are not. They're very bitter oranges, and they're used in marmalade. So in effect, I can't have marmalade again. You know, but apart from that, I can eat everything. But you've got to be sensible about it. You eat too much protein, it affects your urea. You
Mm,
know, so eat protein maybe 3 times a day. Now here the culture is you eat meat every day. You know, so I've got to. That's something I have to tune myself to do. because I also prefer eating more Western than Indian style. You know, now then I've got to restrict and plan my meat eating around that. Now, if I eat fish or shellfish, it doesn't have an effect on my urea, apparently. Neither do eggs. You know, but meat and chicken do. So, you know, try to stick to that as much as you can. You know, very interestingly, when they say red meat, they're actually talking about beef. They're not talking about goat or lamb. You know, so goat or lamb are far healthier than beef. When they go on about red meat, don't eat red meat, it means don't eat beef. You know, quite specifically, it means don't eat cow. You know, but the other meats, they might not be as good as chicken is for you, or fish is for you, or even pork is for you. You know, they just are not as bad as beef is. You know, which is a really sad thing for me, because I love a good steak. You know, or a good burger. You know, I don't know what I'm going to do in that case. Also, pork. What is really bad for you? Pork belly. You know, bacon. You know, but otherwise, pork it's all right. You know, so I'm learning these things, you know, slowly. Now, if your potassium is high, which mine is right now, it hasn't come under control, and it can settle anytime. It takes about a year, they say. It should settle at some point. But my potassium is not settled right now. So right now my diet is really strict. I'm not having tomatoes. I'm not having dal. I'm not having, you know, it's really strict. Indian food, hafte mein ek aad bari kha raha hu. Otherwise, my meal literally is pasta or rice. You know, some kind of pulao with as little tomato in it as possible. Some kind of pasta with as little tomato in it as possible. Or soups. I have a lot of soups. You know, I can't have too many greens because vegetables are high in potassium, especially green vegetables. So right now, currently my diet is really restricted. But once the potassium settles, it doesn't need to be this restricted. You know, it'll be a normal diet, but just sensibly consumed. You know, we can't go overboard. If I go tomorrow and I eat Khan Chacha ke kebab, you know, then I can't do that for the next 4-5 days. You know, you've got to just think that even as a diabetic, that's how they train you. You know, that okay, now that you're eating, say you're eating a slice of mango cheesecake, you know, then don't eat rice that day. Have a high vegetable, high protein meal, you know, reduce your carb intake so that if you're consuming sugar here, that is your sugar intake. That's how you compensate, you know. And they literally, they don't even work by glycemic index here. Here they work by portion size and all that, you know, which I think is a much more manageable approach to have. And nowadays I'm learning about this plant-based diet, you know, because I am not eating as much meat as I used to control my urea, you know. So I've been reading about a plant-based diet which is supposed to be very good for you. So I don't think I can ever go fully plant-based, you know, but yeah, to some degree, I need to kind of control myself, you know. Also, as far as cooking is concerned, you know, Ashish, the sad thing is, because I've had, since I've been sick when I came to India in 2015, I was under the throes of neuropathy, and you know, lots of things have happened, and I got into dialysis. I haven't had the energy.
I remember spending time with you.
Yeah, my cooking has greatly reduced to I can count the number of times I've cooked in the last year. You know, and I can't wait to get back to it, because now that my approach to food is different. You know, I want to feed my family also like I eat. Or I would like to eat, but you have to make it, to sell it to someone, to say yaar tum bhi ye khao mere saath, you have to make it palatable, you know. So I'm always constantly looking for recipes, thinking of, I've made, like on every platform I am, I've made recipe folders. कि हाँ ये अच्छा है, ये try करेंगे. अरे इसमें अगर धनिया डाल दें तो कैसा रहेगा? You know, ऐसे ऐसे everywhere I am, that's what I do. You know, I'm not having any milk. I'm drinking my tea with rice milk. You know, so yeah, that is, so I mean, till the potassium doesn't settle, I have to be very careful.
So here is a sort of an exercise which you can probably get involved in a lot of ways. Like I have started developing recipes which are extremely delicious to the palate and which taste probably as good as otherwise a normal Indian meal would be. But just need to work on certain permutations and combinations and
Yeah,
create this. So I think what you can do is you can spend a lot of time. You have time now, so you can spend a lot of time actually experimenting with different kinds of food. It's like a painting, Gautam. In any case, so worst comes to worst, it'll come out bad. Yeah, what's the big deal, right?
yeah,
But you
exactly.
never know. You never know. You might strike a
What will
gold
click?
mine.
What
You
will
see,
click? Yeah.
you might strike a gold mine. No, the other day you check on my IGTV, I was interviewing this young lad. He's only 24 years old, 25
The
years.
chef. The chef.
He calls himself the diabetic chef, right? He's suffering from glaucoma. He's suffering from severe varicose veins. He's
Yeah.
been diabetic for a very long time. Now, what he's doing is playing with food. While playing with food, he's balancing food in the right perspective, and he's creating some amazing dishes, including chocolates, because he has a sweet tooth. So I think, and he's not only done that, he's made it into a full-time profession.
Sorry,
And
can I just interrupt and take a moment to send
yes,
someone a message through this?
okay, by all means.
Because my friend is watching, and another one was supposed to come to visit me after this got over, and he thought it's over. So he keeps messaging me, when shall I come? When shall I come? So Malim, if you're watching, please tell Ravi that I'm still chatting. So to get on the chat again, and when it finishes, he'll know when to come. To come immediately. Thanks. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually started watching one of his interviews, but when I watch something for too long, na, मैं सो जाता हूँ. So I fell
Hold on.
asleep while watching it. You
But
know?
watch it in doses.
Yeah.
I'll connect you to him. I think you should talk to him also. It'll be fun
Absolutely.
and both of you can actually structure and create some amazing, dishes amongst yourselves. Because with the virtual world coming so close to each other, I mean, we may not be there, but we can still connect. Look, you're in London and we're having a wonderful chat right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, interestingly, I started cooking because, well, I started cooking extensively because I like so much food. And as a diabetic, every food that you order has a lot of sugar in it. You know, in England, Chinese food is supposed to be sweet. I don't know why, for what reason. And we have grown up with that Indian Chinese food. You know?
Yeah.
So once in a while, you want to eat chili chicken fry with
more so the Punjabi chicken, Punjabi
Yeah.
style. American chop, full of sweet and
Yeah.
the egg on top and deep fried
Yeah,
noodles.
हाँ, but
chunks of
यहाँ
meat.
पर तो सब कुछ ही वैसे अमेरिकन चॉप सुई जैसा होता है. You know, I mean, from a normal takeaway. I guess if you go to the more exclusive places, you'll get better stuff. But from a normal takeaway, the most popular Chinese dish here is sweet and sour pork, and it is sweet like honey. You know, and it's just not good for you. So I started cooking for my pleasure. कि मुझे अच्छा, I love that Chinese food. So let me try Chinese and let me try and learn. Let me try and experiment. I absolutely love all kinds of Mediterranean and Italian food. So, I'll go out and I'll eat. Who knows what the ingredients are? Who knows what the preservatives are? So let me try and do it. So that's how my thing started. Along with it being a necessity, because I became a stay-at-home dad, and Sonali started working, and I had a 2-year-old who had to be fed. So but I will definitely talk to that guy. I plan to be very busy now that once I am in the clear health-wise, and once this COVID clears up, I plan to be a little busy with my life. I plan to do a lot of not charity work, but maybe some volunteer work with the dialysis unit I was a patient in.
Yeah, fantastic, wonderful. Yes.
And volunteer work means just go sit with the Buddhas, chat with them, bring the morale up. That's what my doctor told me, actually.
But why there are a lot of youngsters who are going through a difficult time. Why just exclusively the Buddhas?
Well, only because there's a higher number of Buddhas there. There's only 1 or 2 youngsters, but everybody else is, So that was my thing. In fact, my nephrologist, who was heading the dialysis unit where I was, the Watford dialysis unit, I told him, long back when I was about to have the first transplant, I told him, doc, I want to do this. He says, you know what? Give yourself 6 months, then join the Imperial College volunteer program, and I will put you there. And all you need to do is come once a week and just sit with them and chill with them and impart some of your positive energy onto them.
Fantastic.
I said, fair enough, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, there's nothing better. Yeah.
Fantastic. So what are your based on your past experiences and what you've been going through, how do you foresee keeping yourself creatively and otherwise very busy in times to come?
So not many people know this about me, but I am a closet script writer. I am a absolute film fanatic, and I don't mean Bollywood fanatic or Hollywood fanatic. I am a film fanatic. I watch every single movie. You start it, I will watch it. And then I will build my opinion whether I like this genre or not, and I'm not going to watch the genre only again if I see too much of thing. But I watch movies from I don't understand camera angles. I don't understand beauty of thing. I understand story. That is the one thing I think I have a good understanding of. So I have been playing around with a few stories in my head. And
one question.
Yeah.
Sorry to. If somebody approached you, right? A producer approached you, Gautam, I want to do a fabulous film, but I have no idea what the subject is going to be, right?
Yeah.
Use your mind and write a script for me, which I can build on a film.
Yeah.
So what spontaneously would be a kind of a story that you would do?
So what I am most attracted to is character-driven stories.
Okay.
So my first question to him would be, सर जी आपको दबंग टाइप पिक्चर चाहिए कि आपको कभी हाँ कभी ना वाली पिक्चर चाहिए? क्योंकि अगर आपको दबंग टाइप चाहिए तो आई एम नॉट योर मैन. But if you want something a little deeper, I can give you. And the perfect example is Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
I've seen it, yes.
Or if I were to make a comparison, or if I were to broaden my thing a little further, I would say something like Truman Show. Those are the type of movies I would make. I would write. So I do have, off the top of my head, I have 4 stories in my head. Yeah. So I am planning to work on 2 of them. And hopefully sell them, make a movie out of them, make a show out of them, something like that. So that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm actually doing that right now. I'm developing something with some people, because I don't know how to technically do it. I am just a storyteller, but I don't have the technical know-how of how you're supposed to present it to a director or to a producer, or how you're supposed to present it, for that matter. Forget anything else. So that is one thing I'm doing. The second thing I am doing is that I would like to do is this volunteer work. The third thing I intend on doing is, I've been sick for the last 5 years or 6 years. in effect, we haven't had a holiday for 6 years. In effect, my child hasn't had a holiday for 6 years. Whereas Europe is the most accessible thing to me, and all it takes is 300 pounds, and you are here or there, and you can spend a good weekend. That's all the money you need, literally to spend a weekend in any European capital. I intend on doing that a lot, because I think I've given her memories of misery. Memories where my dad has been sick, my dad has been unwell, this has been this is. I want her memories to be, oh, I remember when I went to Prague with dad, or Paris with dad. So that is very important to me. So that is another thing I plan to do more of. And yes, I am definitely going to cook more. I'm not going to stop. That is, it's
that I'm more than convinced.
मेरे अंदर एक frustration बैठ गई है कि I'm not being able to, and that is the fire that's going to come out.
That's your drive.
Yeah.
Your dad has just sent a message. He says that I believe that he pre-reads Arjun's scripts. Now,
yeah, I do.
Coming to that situation, I would ask you, if you were to make a film, right?
Yeah.
Forget about the thing. Arjun is a very accomplished actor now. He's done extremely well for himself, and we are very happy that he's making and he's a great actor, because he involves himself into the character so beautifully, and he can enact it to perfection. If you were to make a film where you were to star Arjun, right?
Yeah.
What role would you give him?
Arjun, I'll tell you what, he is the best at picking the insides of a character. So I'll tell you what, the perfect role for him would be the role of Gautam Mathur.
Really?
Yeah. Because if I'm writing something, there is, whatever I'm writing right now, there is a little bit of me there. And whenever I've thought of writing something, or whenever I've written something, I have always had Arjun in my mind. He's always been, I always picture Arjun, and then I start writing. So maybe it's a bias. Maybe, I mean, he has been my pride ever since. It's not just because of ball. It's very difficult to explain to people the kind of closeness I share with my brother. And it's, I tell you this, I remember this when I was 3 years old. Arjun wasn't born yet. I guess mom was pregnant with him. I was 3 years old, and there was some anecdote of some lady in Shakti Nagar in Delhi that I had heard of. That this woman in Shakti Nagar, she had a new baby, and her older son killed her younger son, or older child killed the child out of jealousy. The mother was paying too much attention to that younger child. Now, and I remember, whether it was motivated by this incident or not, I remember my mother, drilling it into my head. You are going to get a brother or a sister. You have to be kind to them. You have to be, this to them, that to them. So that was always in my head. And Arjun, I have protected Arjun from the day he was born. I have thought it's my job to protect him. And I was 7 years old, and he wasn't eating his food. He was a very troublesome eater when he was a child. So mummy hit him, and he came crying to me. We were in Srinagar. Mummy hit him, he came crying to me. I saw what happened, and he was crying, and after that. So, this is so deeply etched in my mind. I even remember the clothes we were wearing. I picked up a butter knife, and I went to kill mummy. आपने मेरे भाई को रुलाया है. So that is what I feel. So maybe there's a bias, but I see Arjun playing. But I mean, I see Arjun playing roles like this. I think if he were to play someone who's had troubles like this, he would be perfect. Because he can get into the character. He can emote. He knows how to do it, how to bring out the best in himself. The whole method and all that, or past experiences or whatever, learned experience, shared experience. He knows how to do that, and he really does it well. and he knows me well, you know. But if I would like to see him do something, it's an action film. Because I think he would be able to do action. You know, you don't need to do karate to do action. You don't need to be Tiger Shroff. You know, you can fight like other humans fight. You know, but I would like to see him do something like that.
It would be nice to ask Arjun if you would love to do an action film. I'm sure you would. You would love to do that.
मैं तो बोल रहा हूँ producer ढूंढो.
Producer मिल जाएगा. I think it's not it's a good story matters a lot more than anything else. You know, these days are current times. But it's wonderful, you know, that there are many instances in life, you know, which make a marked impression other than your sickness, you know, which bring a lot of positivity.
Yeah.
Do you have some incidents in your life which has created a marked impression, you know, which has never been eradicated from your mind? And there are certain things which are like very positive things, like you talked about your childhood story about Arjun, you know, because that shows and reflects your beautiful connect and proximity that you have with your younger brother. But there are also certain incidences in life, you know, where somebody comes to your life out of the blues, you don't even realize, and that those people actually create a very strong impression in your life which you can never eradicate from your system. I'm sure you must have come across certain people like these who may have inspired you more than anything else. So could you share something of that sort with us?
There are a few, well, I don't know of instances, but there are a few people who have inspired me a lot. You know, 3 of them were friends of my father, friends of my parents. You know, one was a gentleman called, well, I won't reveal the full names, but one was Vinod Uncle, you know, who was in civil lines with us. We grew up in Old Delhi. So we've known him since then. And I used to love that guy. You know, I used to absolutely love him. And he was a sportsman, and he was one of those very dynamic, good looking, you know, excellent, affectionate, you know, favorite uncle level ke aadmi, you know. And he had an accident. He had a jogging accident, and he busted his knee while jogging. And then he just went into a spiral. You know, his knee, he's had 2 surgeries on his knee and all, but his knee never got better. And he became an alcoholic ultimately, and his blood sugar and all, and he died at 50 something. You know, one was my chacha. You know, from my chacha, I have learned how to be a father. To be honest, how to be a kind father. Let me put it another way. How to be a kind father. I mean, I think he was a very, you know, people mistook him for a very simple, very plain man. You know, oh, he's boring. He could have come across as boring, but he wasn't boring. He also had been plagued by a sickness. He had epilepsy, you know, and he obviously, then you at a young age, if you get a sickness, it changes your entire life. You know, it changes how you live your life. And so he decided to keep it simple, keep things simple, not drink, not this, not that. Very rarely did I see him drink 1 beer. He was, you know, he was a simple man, a righteous man. He worked a simple job. He was in the state bank, you know, and he, I mean, he was a calming influence on our life, in our lives, you know. And I remember when I was at my most confused in life, after my mother had died, and, you know, when there was only confusion in life, and 4 or 5 years had passed, and he kind of sat with me and gave me advice, which was something that he had never done. And after that, I kind of, you know, just fell in love with him. You know what I mean? He was always chacha, and out of the rishta, you respect them. But, you know, falling in love with him, you know, and trying to figure out what made him tick. And he was a fun man. When the whole family, on Sundays, everybody would get together at our house. every Sunday. When the whole family would get together, you know, he would be singing Antakshari, he would be playing games, he would be playing cards with us. You know, he was one man. And one gentleman who has had probably the most massive influence on me, and he's the one who really ignited my love for food, is this gentleman called Shahzad Uncle. He's from Pakistan. And whenever he used to come to India, so I know what he did for a living, but to me, he was always and will always be a cricket commentator. You know, and when he would come to India, and if he was commentating on a match, he would take me with him to the commentary box. You know, so I went into matches free into the commentary box with him. You know, and he, whenever he would come, he used to love cooking. He used to love apne kakori kebab. So when he would come to Delhi, he would take kakori kebabs back with him to Lahore. You know, and he would come over and he would cook, and he would come specifically to me. Kyun mote? Aaj tere liye kofte banao? You know, and he would make, and I absolutely love koftas, you know, and he taught me how to make koftas, and he taught me how to make this one aloo that I make, you know, with kalonji. So he taught me how to make that. I do it with the infinitely, I don't know if infinitely, but a really lower amount of ghee, much with just a fraction of ghee that he did. But he passed away from cancer a few years ago. So I don't know why these three people always tugged at my heart. You know, they've always had a special place in my heart. And obviously, I mean, I think most of my learning has been through my mother, you know, and my attitude and my, like I said, my, you know, my humor and everything comes from my mother and her two siblings. You know, I remember as a kid, they used to, just the three of them, they would sit together, and my mom was the oldest, and they would sit together and they would just laugh and joke. They're in a world of themselves, created by themselves, of themselves. They don't care or kaun hai, kya hai. You can come, you can join, but this is our world, you know. And it was just so nice, and that's what I strive to make for not only my child, but also for Arjun and Sonia, you know. And I think we are around there. When the three of us are together, we don't really need anyone, so much so that we even ignore our spouses, you know. So it's I mean, there's lots of people, some of my friends who have stuck with me. You know, when my mom died, we were all taken to hospital. I must tell you about these friends. When my mom died, we were all stuck in hospital. I was 17 years old, you know. So dad was in the still in the place where mom had died, near Nasik, and we were in Bombay, and me and Arjun were in Breach Candy Hospital, and I didn't realize that my mom had passed away. You know, they told me the next day that mom had passed away, and I called and I told my friend, you know, because when you're that age, you only want to be in touch with your friends. You don't care about your parents, you know. And I called my friend and I told him. He wasn't home. So I called and I spoke to his mom. I said, you know, auntie, just tell him I've had an accident. I'm in Breach Candy Hospital. And this. So he called at night when he came back home, and his mom spoke to him. He called the hospital at night and he spoke to my cousin, my bua's son. And my bua's son told him what had happened, you know, that my mom had passed away and all this had happened. The next morning, that fellow, along with another 5 people, were there to receive me, to pick me up and take me home, you know. And when the news was broken to me at home, you know, obviously I broke down. And when I broke down, that guy also broke down with me, you know. And there was a period of about 2-3 months. Every morning they would come before I wake up, and it was almost like they were taking shifts, you know. Every morning they would come without before I wake up, and they would be with me till it is bedtime, someone or the other. I was always surrounded by these guys, and there was just this group of, you know, 4-5 people. I will never forget them. You know, I will never forget that. till today, they are my friends. I only call these guys my friends. I don't call anyone else my. Apart from these guys, I've made one friend since then. You know, so it is. It really is. You know, that is something that thing. And like I said, after I had the heart attack, you know what, and the open heart surgery, what made me think was the amount of love and the amount of good wishes I had. You know, floating towards me, coming towards me. And that has been there from the start. And I've always thought that I'm alone. मेरे को कोई नहीं है यार ऐसा कोई. I told you also कि कौन सुनेगा मेरी. When you said let's do this, I said who, you know, I'm going to talk, but who's going to listen? You know, so I've always felt like that. But then I get these instances where people kind of reach out to me, or people send me their wishes or something when I least expect them, you know, and people who I've long forgotten. And then I feel, shit, he still remembers me, you know. He took the effort, even if it's a Facebook wish, he took the effort to look at what's happened, what I have posted or what has been posted about me, and he wrote something for me. You know, that's enough love someone has to give. You know, and I think that stems, I mean, that attitude of mine stems from my friends and what they did for me at the toughest time of my life. You know, this is not a tough time that I'm going through. That was a tough time. You know, as I think even you would feel when your dad passed away, you know, that was probably your toughest. That was your lowest moment, you know.
Yes, because I was very close to him.
Yeah, you know, this is, and I was really close to my mother. We were like friends, you know.
I know that.
Yeah, we were like friends. So even my friends, sometimes I would come home to find that my friends are leaving. I'm like, why are you leaving? I'm here. So no, we came to meet auntie. You know, so it really is like that. It was so they were really, really supportive. They always have been. Even right now, that Malim person who I gave a message to give to Ravi, I've known them since I was 15, 16. When I moved to Bombay, I was 13. And I made friends with them at about 14. Since then, I've known them. You know? So, yeah. So, you know, there are some, and I have learned something from everybody, you know. It's too difficult to point out कि हाँ इससे मैंने ये सीखा. But ये लोग हैं जिन्होंने मुझे influence किया है, who I strive to be like, you know, who have set an example for me, and I try to set an example for others. You know, there's many like this.
Okay, we've almost reached the second hour now while we are talking.
I didn't realize that.
No, I didn't realize it till the time I just saw the clock. There are a lot of youngsters who must have heard you because, and all of them, some of these youngsters give up hope very easily, irrespective of circumstances. If there's a little failure in their professional life, they give up hope. If they're sick, half of them start beginning to give up hope because probably they lack the drive and the motivation. What is this message? Because I would love you to give a message. You as a person, what is this message you would like to give to all the youngsters who are going through some sort of sickness or some sort of calamity in their lives? Is how to get out of it. What advice would you give them?
Well, I can only say what I have done or what I have tried to do is, first of all, don't get defeated. You know, everything can be beaten. Everything. You know, just, yes, you will feel defeated. Go to the bathroom, cry your hearts out. You know, cry to your heart's content as much as you want to. Then come out and then say, okay, now that is done, what do I do now? You know, how do I go forward now? It's very difficult to find a way to go forward. But if you start taking situations one at a time, oh, अब शुगर आए, क्या करें? यार ऐसा करते हैं, आज से रूह अफ़ज़ा नहीं पिएंगे. You know, या आज से चीनी नहीं खाएंगे. One step at a time. Don't try to tackle, you know, you've got diabetes. Oh my God, अब मैं क्या करूँगा? कुछ नहीं. Relax. You know, कुछ नहीं होगा. एक एक करके चीजों को टैकल करो. 3 रोटी की जगह 2 रोटी खा लो, या 5 रोटी की जगह 4 रोटी खा लो. बस ये करना है, छोटे छोटे स्टेप्स लेने. You know, you'll find automatically things are just one at a time, and don't let it phase you. But at the same time, if you do get phased, go and cry it out. Also, don't alienate those who love you. I mean, your parents, your siblings, your spouse, your child, they will always be there for you. If you have a child, your child knows what's going on. They're not stupid. They know that there is something. Might as well share it with them. And really, slowly but steadily, you will beat it. You will learn a way, or you will learn a way to kind of circumvent and circumnavigate and live with it. That is very important, because also don't get bogged down by the outside world, by social media, by TV. आप जो टीवी पे देखते हो या आप जो सोशल मीडिया में पढ़ रहे हो, don't get bogged down by it. जो आप इंटरनेट पे पढ़ रहे हो, आज हमारी मुट्ठी में इतनी सारी दुनिया भर की इंफॉर्मेशन है. आप अभी जाओ वो क्या है वो डॉक्टर वाली वेबसाइट पे, WebMD पे, and don't scare the shit out of you. You are going to be, oh my god, now maybe I have lupus. So don't stay away from all that.
Do you think somewhere there's a huge medical malpractice also, where they scare patients when it's not necessary, just to make money? No ethics are involved. I mean, they are not ethical at all. And a lot of these hospitals are practicing a lot of unethical practices. You go to a hospital.
That's a very deep question. Because see, in England, we are government-sponsored healthcare, so we don't see it that much. More we'll see is maybe negligence on the part of the doctor, if at all. But so this is very prevalent in the USA, and also in India. And I think this is because of the whole capitalist system.
It's huge in India. It's absolutely huge in India. They scare you, they psych you, and half the time you're not suffering from that problem, because what is happening is commissions are involved. So if you give one test, you get a certain percentage. You go to get something, there's a certain percentage.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Very unfortunate.
And again, exactly like it works in America, everyone is making money from the insurance company to the doctor to everyone. It's all about the money. So this capitalism has to move out of the healthcare system. अगर England अभी recession में 10 साल से recession में ही है. It hasn't really come out of a recession. Little 0.5% increase, and that's it over 10 years. If they stop spending, if they halve their defense budget, the Middle Eastern budget, even India, why? Put some money in education, put some money in healthcare, and it should all, everyone's making money off you. Put some regulations on these bloody insurance companies and all these, but they pay you so much, these corporations are paying you so much. What is, क्या करोगे? हमारे पार्टी फंड में ये पैसे जा रहा है, हम कहां से क्यों स्टॉप करेंगे ये सिस्टम? So it's just, I mean, I get angry when I hear all this. It triggers me. Because I've seen people. I have a friend who broke her leg in America. She's got a $20,000 bill.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
What?
The very worst part in India in terms of ethical practices, if somebody passes away, they will make sure that the person is kept on a ventilator. Family is being given hope all the time. He's all right, and they will keep on extending 3 days, 4 days, till this time the bill becomes a couple of lakhs, and then suddenly they will announce that he's passed away. This has been happening. And they play with the psyche. They definitely play with the psyche, because no family member also wants to live on hope. If a doctor comes and tells you, look, there's hope, he's surviving, and he's all right, but actually he's already dead, right?
He's already,
brain dead. So he's been kept on a ventilator just to ensure that, the moment it goes off, it's over.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of horrible medical practices, but I'm not saying that there are great doctors too, and some of these doctors are amazing, and they go out of the way, and a lot of them are doing
these COVID packages that you're getting in India, in Indian hospitals. if you have COVID, unless you're at that situation position where you need a ventilator, you don't need to be in hospital. You know, why is Amitabh Bachchan and Abhishek Bachchan going into a hospital when he's out in 4 days? He doesn't need a hospital. You know,
Yeah.
so and it just drives me insane when I hear about these things. It's
Yeah.
whose thing is it? You know, it's the hospital that's bloody charging these people so much. They can make so much money, or there's political connections, and there's
So apparently, he's been a very active uh, on the governing body of the Leelavati Hospital. I've been told. So
yeah,
every 3 hours or 2 hours, he was tweeting and talking about the wonderful care he's getting, and apparently they say that Leelavati was also under a lot of fire because of certain malpractices that they had done. You know, so
yeah,
probably they were redeeming their reputation that was
yeah,
required. Needed someone like him to get into that hospital with COVID, so that
yeah.
every day his medical bulletin was given. I mean, you never know. I mean,
I mean,
the
हाँ
whole
ऐसे लोगों को तो फिर मिलेगी ही ना वो उस टाइप की care. You
uh,
know, but what about the normal common man who's watching it
exactly,
and who's not
exactly.
educated enough about it, and he goes and अरे कोविड हो गया चलो हॉस्पिटल भागो. You know, और उसको 8 लाख 5 लाख रुपए देने पड़े. He's finished. Where is he going to get that money from?
जिसके पास पैसा नहीं है कहाँ से देगा?
हाँ.
और साइकोलॉजिकली अपनी जान नहीं बचाएगा तो करेगा क्या? Anyway,
Yeah,
to
if
cut
you
back
give a
the short,
salaried man a bill for 8 lakhs or 5 lakhs, what is he going to do? You know, even if his salary is 1 lakh a month, that's bloody 8 months salary for him.
and once
So,
you get into, you know, and look at those people who do not have medical insurance.
yeah,
If they don't have medical insurance, these to get into these private hospitals is like massively huge, and it becomes
yeah,
very, very difficult for them to survive, irrespective of the circumstances.
yeah.
Anyway, Gautam, it has been one of the most wonderful conversations that I've had with you, and I continue to hope that uh, once in a while we will have regular sessions, you and I, and
Yeah.
try and
But
inspire.
now the sickness is done. Now we'll talk about the world, the
Yes.
state of the world.
So we'll
Yeah.
talk about food. We'll talk about food. Maybe
Yeah.
I will actually, what we can do is we can actually have something where go on a Zoom call or something of that sort, where I'm cooking a dish and you cooking a dish, right?
That,
And
uh,
let us do something which is diabetic friendly, you know,
yeah.
or for health conscious, because I'm also experimenting. Today I've just shot a video on home food, but that's a pork related. I've done a South Indian pork korma, which will be up on YouTube very soon. But more than that, I'm also working and trying to work on dishes which are not only healthy and palatable, but
Yeah.
also absolutely fabulously delicious. And it has pure and natural ingredients. So
Yeah.
maybe you work on one or two couple of dishes which you think taste wonderfully well,
Mm.
right? I'll work on a wonderful dishes and we'll have a joint session on Instagram.
Absolutely.
And times
Absolutely.
to come, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that session too. So till then, Gautam, thank you so much. Thank you
Thank you
everybody
so
for watching us. Keep watching Candid Conversation. Sooner than later, you will still get many more interesting people. Gautam, one of them, has inspired you, I'm sure, and I'm sure that many others who will come in will also have some wonderful but positive stories to tell. Thank you so much. And cheers
Thank
for now.
you.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye.
Stay blessed.